All right. Hello and welcome to episode 2 of the Lost Dice Cast. I'm joined by Jason, Matt, and Richy. We're all here today, way more than the party of 2 we had last week, to talk about games. So how you guys doing?
Good.
Great.
Wonderful. So
Awesome.
How you?
I'm happy to finally have more of us here to chat. We've been talking about this digitally for a long time, and I feel like we've arrived. We've made it here. We're going to talk about games because, frankly, not all of us have time to even play games. I mean, Matt will be the exception kind of in this case, but I wanted to start off with something that I actually got to do. I got to go out to Madison, Wisconsin, and visit some friends. I only got to go to one of the 2 days of this weekender event that they had for Adeptus Titanicus, and it was a good time. And it was really only a good time because I got to eat sushi and I also won. That's a thing that doesn't typically happen.
Nice.
It is a rare occasion, as it were. But yeah, it was a great time. Got to play a quick small skirmish that night. Getting back into it, the rules felt good. I was pumped that I actually managed to finish something painting wise and have it ready to go. I had one additional Titan painted and finished right before the thing. There's a few details I could finish up on it, but it felt good to actually plan for a thing, build the thing, paint the thing, and then go get a game in with it, which is proving to be harder to do as I get older. So it was just kind of one of those good things, even though I didn't get to go stay for another 3 rounds the next day. I followed up with the friends of mine that played the next day. They had some wonderful matches and a couple of hijinks, as most of the Games Workshop games seem to have. A lot of silly randomness. But one Titan dies, and then in the process of dying, it decides to take one last shot, kill another guy, blow it up, and kill another guy. Just kind of random chain of events that go on in those games. But yeah, good time was had. I'm stoked about the next thing. This group plans something about once a month, so I've got some more events coming after Adepticon, which is the next big thing. There's going to be some
If it doesn't
Warcry.
get canceled.
Oh, it's going to be fine. This will be fine. Just be one big,
'Cause of the corona.
one big stew of virus all in the same location.
Are you playing the same game at all these still?
No. So actually, the next one they're switching to Warcry. Still a Warhammer-ish game. It's a skirmish game, and it's small board based. I think it's like a 24-inch by 30-inch board, so pretty small, like fighting territory. It's set in their Age of Sigmar kind of zone, which is the fantasy side of Warhammer. One of the friends I have that runs these games said, "Hey, I have all of the cards for the thing. Take them and then use your dinosaur guys." And I said, "Okay." So I pulled out some dinosaur guys. I'll paint a few dinosaurs for this, and it should be a fun time. So it's definitely a thing I'm looking forward to. I just have to work out logistics of things, because I'm a dad, so I have to go figure out who's going to watch my kids so I can play nerd games on a Saturday because my wife works that day. So,
Yeah.
the usual things that come around with gaming this time of year, or all the time at this point, not just this time of year.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. So,
Yeah.
Matt, I ran into you at the hobby store nearby this weekend. What were you teaching?
So I was doing a demo of this game called Sky Terror. It's kind of like a skirmish game. I don't know if you're into MOAB, what is it? I can't think of it top of my head. League of Legends.
Oh,
That type of game, but they made
MOBAs or whatever?
MOBAs, yeah.
Yeah.
They made a board game version of it, but think Magic meets MOBA games. What it is there's 4 different classes of Magic users, all using the Sky Terror magic, and in the starter kit comes with 2 characters for each magic type. So there's a red, yellow, green, and black, I believe. And you are on this hex board. There's 2 lanes where you kind of have an area control. So you have to get your dudes to these control points, and whoever's got the most points after a round gets to move that control point 1 step closer to the enemy tower, and then you can start damaging the tower. If you destroy one of their towers, or destroy all of their dudes, or complete 3 of the objectives, one of the 3 objectives, you win the game. Games usually last around 5 rounds, but in the game that we played when you saw us on Sunday, I think it went to round 3. and I just absolutely got hammered. I don't know. It was the first game I've ever played of it, and um, you move one of your dudes, and he's exhausted, and they have 3 actions each. Then your opponent has to activate one of their characters and has 3 actions each, and you just go back and forth until all four of your characters are exhausted, and you check to see if you completed any of the objectives. If not, you continue playing the game. The game is great. I like it a lot. There's I think 5 expansions.
Oh wow.
Also in the middle of the board, there's like this
There's
I don't know,
5 expansions.
yes,
It just came out.
I know it was on a Kickstarter.
Damn.
Oh, so
there's
it
a Kickstarter
started. Oh
for it.
wow. So wait. So like it actually started with that much stuff.
Yeah.
Is it like
It
so? Are the
Kickstarted
expansions
all-
like sub factions in the game?
No, they're the same factions as the factions that are in the base starter kit. In fact, they give you all the tokens for those expansions because you gotta catch them all kind of attitude. So, and they have special cards, and there's a competitive aspect to the game too. So, if you wanted to, let's say, go all red or all yellow or what have you, there's sick combinations if you get all the cards, and you can be more, I guess more advantageous in your game if you had them all, more options compared to some slob that only has like the base game. No
Nice.
offense, nobody's really a slob. I just used it for a term. But in the middle, the cool thing too is in the middle of the board there's like this like several hexes in a big circle, and it's supposed to be like a dome, and it's kind of like, I don't know, it's kind of like Thunderdome. You put your guys in the middle, and whoever controls that at the end of the hero phase, right? It turns into the minion phase, which are you control like these little minions. Well, there's this thing called the Outsider, and the Outsider is like this huge miniature that's actually takes up 3 hexes, and it's like this monster that whoever has the control of the Thunderdome gets to control the Outsider, and then you can just go and attack the other guys and just cremate like the other team. And that's pretty much how I lost, is because I wanted to go and control the Outsider, but Eric, who I was playing against, had more control of it, so he just ended up killing me.
Neat.
But yeah, one faction is like a shape-shifting faction, which is pretty neat. You can turn into a wolf or a bird. The other one is like it throws like ghost figures, and so like you can like actually teleport to the other spot across the map, so you don't have to spend all of your movement points. So you can just teleport to the other side of the map. There's other ones that produce pillars, and if you have all your pillars out and like extractor pillars, anything that's close by gets damaged. It's pretty neat. I like the concept. There's a couple negative points though. The designers are from Italy, and the translation of the rule book is really badly written. I would say terribly written.
Like Google Translate
but-
bad or
No. It's written in perfect English, but they just didn't translate a lot of the rules. There's so many questions because we had to go online and try to figure out like, how does this work? How does that work? How does control work?
yikes.
If this happens, line of sight is a little weird, but with YouTube and they've got a Discord channel, it's actually cleared up a lot of my answers. But that should all be in a rule book. That shouldn't be like ask the designer.
So, are you going to keep it? Is it good?
I like it. I think you should play it. I highly recommend it. As far as a skirmish game, it can play anywhere from 2 to 4 players, and there's a 2-sided board. You can actually play with 8 players in a huge battle royale. So get it, guys.
Do they have so I know that you mentioned they have like that NPC large guy. Do they have mobs like MOBAs do, like kind of NPC minions that run from one side to the other or follow along with you?
No, but there is a Outsider expansion. There's actually 5 expansions, one for each color, and the Outsider expansion, which the Outsider will have special abilities. Every character has a special ability, and the Outsider is no different. You just have to get the expansion for it. I do believe, which I'm not sure how to get. I think there's a few online stores that are selling it right now, but right now, as far as the local gaming stores, I don't think anybody can really order it. The distribution doesn't have it.
Right on.
But
So I don't actually play any MOBA games, like computer games, but I've heard the communities are like terrible and toxic. Do you have to be a toxic person to play this game?
If you want to be toxic, I guess you can be toxic.
Then I'll definitely play with you if you'll allow that.
Sure, man. It's a date.
There you go.
What else? What else have you guys been playing or doing?
Well, I know Jason and I got together the other day on Friday. Also, the same day I got to play Titanicus. Do you want to talk about that? And your long-standing continued win streak.
That hasn't been going the same way for quite a while. No, we.
I thought you always won.
No, I was on a losing streak for a while, and it made me hate the game. So yeah, we've been playing Keyforge on and off lunches mostly on Fridays. We both work near each other, so Fridays are good lunch break days, and we get together and play some Keyforge, which I don't know. We both like it quite a bit. There's definitely positives and negatives to it, but I'm not a fan of the deck building aspect of a lot of card games, and I just don't feel like putting the time into it. And that works out well for us. And we can blame the deck when we do bad.
Yeah.
Where's Keyforge nowadays? Do they add a lot more stuff to it?
There's another set coming out in May, and it kind of seems like they just keep adding more and more to it. At least there aren't new tokens with this set. The most recent set added 2 new tokens.
That's good news.
And yeah, I'm a little worried that it's just going to turn into like a huge mess, but
like
we'll
convoluted mess.
No, I don't know. I can't speak for Jason, but I was doing some digging. This is before Christmas, so a couple months ago. But I found a site when I was looking for something unrelated in Keyforge. I was looking for some rule, and I came across a site where they were like power ranking the decks. Like all these decks have a QR code, and they have a what I'll call a half an app for your phone. That you're supposed to be able to scan your deck and then keep tabs of all your stuff and track your wins and losses for that deck in this app. None of which is particularly good. It's okay-ish, I'll say.
One of them, like they give you keys, like to handicap you if you have a really killer deck.
Yeah, they have a chain system that kind of and like it kind of keeps you in check. So if a deck kind of gets a runaway amount of wins. I mean, at least for Jason and I, we kind of just check ourselves. Like if we're annoyed with one deck, we'll pull it out every so often just to be jerk about it. But there's I think both of us each have a deck that's just mean and very, very hard to deal with. But yeah, like it's the chain system is supposed to be something that you kind of wager and gamble. We don't typically do that. Because usually we always have a new deck, and that's shiny, and we open those and play new decks, which is, of course, the intent of the games overall. Because since you're not building decks and buying singles, they want you to buy more decks, so the price point seems pretty solid. And yeah, I'm stoked for more. I like the new factions they introduced in the last set were neat. Except for when I bought 10 decks and only got like one of each of the new factions out of the 10 decks.
Yeah, you lost out pretty big on that.
Each deck comes with 3 factions, and somehow I managed to not get the 2 new ones until deck 9 and 10. So I'll let you guys out there do the math on how much that costs. It's fine. Like for us, it's fun. Like, we can go to the local shop, pick up a deck or 2, play a couple games, eat a sandwich and enjoy that. And I don't think I'm speaking out of turn for Jason when I say we both enjoy that aspect of it. And it super beats having to like build decks.
And the sandwiches are a huge plus in Keyforge.
Big time. Yes. Critical component to the game.
Yeah. Is Jason toxic when he plays Keyforge?
Very, very, very.
Yeah. I'm toxic always. So speaking of card games, I actually played another one on Tabletop Simulator last night. It's one I own as well, as I glance over at where it actually is physically sitting, called Fox in the Forest. I don't know, Matt, have you heard of this or played this one at all?
Yeah, I've seen it. I've always wanted to try it. I think you brought it to a couple of meetups.
It's a 2-player trick-taking game.
Oh, nice.
So it adds a lot of neat elements to make something fun out of what I guess would probably normally be pretty boring. Because like normally like a trick-taking game like Hearts or Spades with just 2 people wouldn't be very fun at all. But in the Fox in the Forest, it's a deck of cards with 3 suits of I think 11 cards each. And all of the odd numbered cards have like a special power, and some are like just simple things like you get a extra point when you win a trick with this card, and some of them let you actually like swap cards out of your hand to pull from the deck. What makes it really neat
yeah,
though
we
is
played
the
this before. Yeah, I remember this.
yeah, what
Thing.
makes it really cool is the scoring though, because like in most trick taking games, like taking all of the tricks can be really well. And so most trick taking games, like taking all the tricks is really good. Usually that means you get the most points. And that would normally be pretty easy to do in a 2-player game. But like in this one, taking a lot of tricks can be good up to a certain point, and then you become greedy, and then you actually don't get any points at all. And like similarly, if you take a low number of tricks, you get a whole bunch of points. But if you hit a certain threshold, then it kind of climbs back up until you get too many. So there's like this real cool like push and pull of trying to figure out how many tricks you can take without taking too many and then just getting nothing for it.
Cool. What's
really
the optimal
cool.
strat? It
Plays
sounds
in
like
20 minutes. It's usually like 4 or 5 hands of the game of cards, and then the game's over.
And how many people can play this? Just 2?
It's a 2-player game.
Just 2. Wow.
Yeah, it's really neat.
Is it better than
Cool.
Teach You?
Teach You is a climbing game, not a trick-taking game, Bill.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, wow.
See how it is. So did you get any other games in on Sunday, or was that just that Skytear game, Matt?
Yeah, just pretty much that.
Cool.
On Thursday, I played a whole bunch of games with the guys, such as the ever so classic Splendor. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that game at all, but there's you're I guess a jewelry maker trying to collect these jewels to purchase cards per se, and these cards kind of help you out as you purchase them. You can put them in front of you, and hopefully you're building up to get points, and if you get 15 points you win the game. Now that's just basically how to play the game in a nutshell. There's some royalty cards up on top where you can get points that way, where you have to have so many cards of each color. And they have these really cool components. They have poker chips, and I forget how many colors there are. I think there's 4 or 5 different types of gems. And then there's all 5, yeah. And then there's the gold coin, which is wild. You get those by reserving cards. So it's it's kind of nice when you start learning the game that you can start blocking a certain card. So if I know that Jason's going for a diamond type card, I can grab that card, reserve it, and foil his scheme to win.
Sounds
Per
toxic.
se. It's very toxic, but it's a great family game. It's pretty light. There's some math involved, and it's I don't know. That's pretty much it. You grab 1 or 2 of these poker tokens or poker chips of certain colors, or you can grab reserve 1 gold and just keep playing until someone gets 15 points. And if I think everybody else gets 1 more turn after that, and whoever's got the most points wins the game.
Cool.
Also played Century Spice Road. That's pretty
It's like
fun.
the same game too, isn't it?
It's the same game,
But with
It's the
spices?
Same game. Yes, with spices and wooden cubes.
Oh, okay.
It's
No, I got it.
pretty
All right.
nice. It's for the most part the same thing. And then what else did we play? Another skirmish game called Unmatched. Did you ever hear of this game? This game's pretty epic, actually. It's a 2-player skirmish game. There's 4 characters in a box. In the box, you've got Alice as in Alice in Wonderland. You have Sinbad. You have King Arthur and Medusa, and each one of these players comes with this really cool mini that's already washed out, and comes on a board with like all these spots, and they're all like it's like a trail system, and each character has a deck, and the deck's pretty in tune with what you can do. Like there's defense cards, there's attack cards, and there's cards that do both. And sometimes you can play a card for your hero, and you also have a minion, or I guess a sidekick. Like for example, King Arthur has Merlin, so you have 2 tokens or 2 miniatures on the board. Your King Arthur and your miniature, or your token for Merlin, and then you try to beat up on the other guy who's maybe has Medusa and three of her henchmen. I forget what they're called off the top of my head. And you just beat each other up until you either run out of cards, and then when you run out of cards, there's like a timer where it just kills you off, or you kill the other your opponent, and it's pretty fun. And there's some great art actually. It's kind of weird seeing Alice looking badass,
Neat.
Yeah, and there's a Bruce Lee expansion. There's a Bigfoot and Robin Hood expansion.
All right.
Which I have.
Wow.
I actually have that somewhere.
Oh, that's neat.
And then they just announced a Jurassic Park expansion, which I don't know what that's about. But
wonderful.
And the expansions are super cheap.
Dinosaurs.
Hopefully it's
Obviously.
just one whole team of dinosaurs.
Richie's shaking his head.
Dennis Nedry.
Yeah. Neat.
Wait, let me look for the
Clever
box.
girl.
Hang on.
Like so.
Hang on to your butts.
I know,
You
like,
didn't say the magic word.
yeah.
There you go. It's a thing.
Oh no, it's.
I mean, that's great right there. Like, that's a work of art.
Yeah.
So cool.
That is
And
neat.
Bigfoot's actually like a huge mini. I should pull him out. Oh, you guys gotta see this.
That's neat. Like I appreciate the absurdity. Like they're just mixing in. Like, all right, let's bring in like all different aspects of pop culture and make them fight. I'm down with that.
I don't know if you can see that. See his
Yeah,
club.
a little bit. Very cool.
He's got
That's
Oh, you
awesome.
said washed out. Like, so are they actually like washing the miniatures? Because that looks like it's got like
Yeah,
a black
it's got
wash,
wash
on
on
it.
it.
Wow.
Yeah, it's washed.
Now Bill's interested.
No, I
did
mean-
some of the painting for him.
And it comes with like a nice little base.
I mean, like, even just in the last 5 years, like the quality of the plastics and a lot of these board games that come out are
Robin Hood.
a ton nicer. Like I like a lot of games used to be sold like this has miniatures in it, and they would show like pictures of washed miniatures, and you get them, and it's like this like light gray, white, bendy plastic that's been bent because it got squished in the bottom of the box and shipping, and it just kind of miserably bad. And so yeah, I judged real hard because I like miniatures, so I'm gonna continue
Yeah.
to judge. This gets a
There's
slightly
a-
higher vote in my opinion because they put a little effort into it. Those look cool.
Apparently, there's a game like called Funkoverse based off the minis or the pop minis, and it's kind of like a skirmish game too. But it's I don't know, a little bit absurd, similar to this game where it's like you're playing the Golden Girls, and the
Sure.
Golden Girls can go after Harry Potter, and I don't know. For me, I think that's a little absurd, but kicking ass.
But
with
Bigfoot and
Bigfoot,
Robin Hood.
No,
Bigfoot and
nothing.
you can play that game 2 to 4 players. It's usually teams of 2 people, or just heads up 1v1.
Cool.
But yeah,
So,
for sure.
I mean, it sounds like you got tons of good games in between the last time we chatted and this week. That's fantastic. I'm
Actually,
envious.
it's been light. It's been light.
I'm jealous. Yeah, quit rubbing it in. I've got some things that I'm always looking forward to. I typically behind the scenes give Jason a pretty hard time about how many Kickstarters he backs, which is like triple digit numbers at this point. It's off the charts. It's hard to keep tabs on all that. But I feel like I'm slowly catching up, and it's like some sort of disease that he passed on to me. So last week I talked about a Kickstarter I backed, and then the same day I backed that one, I had one I backed about a year ago show up. It's from a company called TT Combat. I've been working on a project for an army for about the last 10 years. And by working, I mean I've been solely collecting miniatures of a specific type. I've been working on a halfling army for a very long time. I'm at a point where I finally have enough to build a halfling army for Kings of War or any other mass battle game, really. But one of the most important pieces arrived a year after I backed Kickstarter, and that's armored rooster cavalry. Most important piece in this army. It's literally giant roosters with battle plates and spearmen halflings on the back, with the kind of feather puffy hats. It's great. So I'm pretty stoked about that. They came in. They're all metal casts. They're kind of the old school style miniatures. They weigh. They're very heavy and awkward and have all the typical failings of old school miniature castings. And there'll be a lot of filing and cleaning in my near future to get those guys ready to go. I would have preferred resin, but you can't win them all. I'm still pretty excited to be able to have that happen. Behind me in one of the shelves back there, I have assembled about 120-ish halfling miniatures that need to get primed and painted and ready to go. So in between some of the other projects I'm working on, I've got one more halfling Kickstarter coming my way, and then I'll have the majority of the figures I want to use. So I'm pretty stoked. That's something that I'm way into, and that's something I'm going to be working on in the near future. So Jason, what are you looking forward to?
For the record, I've only backed 52 Kickstarter projects.
52.
Jesus.
But okay, that's over 9 years, so I don't know what the math is on that. That's not totally crazy. That's like buying
like 5 a month. Was that weird? What?
No, like 5 a year. I'm not doing the math. I'm not even trying. Either way, and some of them are like backing a podcast or something like that. So it's not all games.
I know. I'm just giving you a hard time.
But I have a Kickstarter coming soon.
You're proving my point.
But it is a game called Inhuman Conditions, and this is one that I think could be cool, but it'll probably end up just sitting because no one's going to actually want to play it. It is a sort of like 2-player like mini RPG that plays in like 5 minutes or so. I mean, it's sort of a board gamified RPG. One player plays the role of an inspector, and the other is a suspect. And the inspector is interviewing the suspect to determine if the suspect is either a robot and must be detained, or a human and is free to go. So the suspect can either be a human or a patient or a violent robot. And like if they're a patient robot, they have some sort of constraints on like certain ways they can answer the questions that the inspector asks them. And if they like break those constraints, they have like a penalty that they have to perform, like something like remain silent for 10 seconds or interrupt the investigator. And those are like things that can clue the investigator in on whether or not this person is actually a robot or a human. Or like violent robots have a list of things that they have to complete over the course of the 5 minutes. And then at the end, they slam their hands down on the table, and that is them murdering the inspector. There's some really cool videos like on the Kickstarter page, or there's a couple like Twitch streamer RPG people that have done some like actual play sessions of it, and it seems really cool. But I think it's one of those games like any RPG that you kind of get out of it what you put into it, and how much you kind of let yourself be immersed in that setting and actually play to it. So we'll see. There's a few people that I think might enjoy it. Matt, this might be something that you would maybe have fun with.
Oh, for sure. It sounds like fun.
We'll see. And the game comes with actual stamps that you get to stamp on a pad, whether a robot or a human. And that's pretty cool.
Sweet. Well, sounds like that makes 2 of us that are backing Kickstarters. Nice work.
Matt's in the club too. I know
What?
it.
What's that?
I've never heard Matt talk about backing Kickstarters.
No, hardly. Although I am packing a couple now at the moment. Just don't tell my wife.
Yeah,
I try not to. There's like this card game that we play tested at was it Midwinter Gaming Convention? One of the designers from Wisconsin, actually. It's kind of like a take that game. I think it's called Of Knights and Ninjas. It was a cheap Kickstarter. I think it was like $30 all in, and you play a card and you get to react to something. So if I play a card and it's like a knight to Jason, and you have gems, and you're trying to get all of these gems from other players, and if you have a total of 10 gems, you win the game, and that's it. So if I play a knight and knight attacks for 1 gem, Jason can respond to it and say, okay, I'm playing a dragon, and destroy something, and then that's my turn, and it's Jason's turn. He's like, okay, well, since you played shenanigans on me, here's a ninja. And ninjas, go through. They're like a wild. So then you take like a gem or 2 gems or whatever it says on the card. My daughter, who's 8 years old, loved the game, and that's the only reason why I'm packing it. And the designer and his wife are very nice people. and they were
Cool.
very pleasant, and they sold me on it. And I thought the artwork and the graphic illustration and design was elegant, and I liked the art.
Cool.
Yeah.
And
I like
and
that.
the other,
Go ahead.
No.
I was gonna say I like that $30 is like a cheap Kickstarter now, when like 10, 12 years ago that was like a normal board game price.
Yeah.
right. And now like miniature games are like $400, and that's just for the base game.
Mhm.
You know,
And
if
Warhammer's
you want-
expensive. Psh.
Does this one come with 5 expansions?
I think it was just like stretch goal stuff. It was like if it hit 10,000, I think it hit $10,000. It's not like a huge multi-million-dollar Rising Sun Kickstarter.
Yeah, I like those small projects like that.
And it was personable. I got to meet the guy. He gave my daughter one of the cards from the deck, and signed, and she loves it.
Cool.
And it's gonna hit my mailbox hopefully in December 2020.
Yeah, right.
That's one thing I hate about Kickstarters. Is like you buy something or you back something and you won't see it.
Yeah,
Like
you're backing a concept.
Eclipse,
Yeah.
I think Eclipse was on 2 years, and everybody got their playmats like a year ago. And I don't know. That's my big beef about Kickstarters.
Yep.
The other one I backed was Eschaton. Eschaton's
That looks cool.
apocalyptic medieval game where the world's like coming to an end, and you're just trying to be like Jason and just give it the world all your toxicness. And I didn't back.
Just spread it around.
Yeah,
Just sharing it, right? Yeah.
spewing it around. I just backed the coin. There's like a round coin that tracks the round of each part of the game, and I think there's a expansion for it that I would want. I've got the base game. I got an older printing of it, but that's out on Kickstarter, and I think it's going live still. That just started, I think, on Monday
Cool.
of this week.
But that's one I've gone back and forth on like a couple times. They've done a few Kickstarters for that game, and I'm always like almost backing it. But I know a bunch of us in the group have it now, so I'll just wait and play it that way.
Yeah,
Nothing wrong with that.
I'm really looking forward to everybody jumping on the Ankh train from Simon or Kumini or not. That's I think that's another what's his face
Eric Lang.
that did Derek Lang.
Yeah.
He did Ankh, so now you can play Gods of the Egyptians with huge minis that look just amazing.
I'm hoping somebody does, because those games are fun, but I think I've played my copy of Rising Sun twice.
Yeah.
So, like, I can't justify another $150. That's probably on the low end.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow, really? They're more than that.
No,
Yeah.
that's probably about that if you like go all in for things, but
That's pretty steep.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
Right
Things
on.
My
now are
shelves
like
are full, so
things with neoprene mats now are kind of huge. Everybody wants a neoprene mat instead of a normal board game mat.
Yeah, I bought some recently for wargaming, and yeah, I mean, if the board game quality is as good as the ones I'm using for wargaming, I can see why everybody would desire a copy that would have a mat like that. They're super nice, especially the ones that,
sure.
that just lay flat and come out and no creases or wrinkles or folds from normal actual board games. Does that make it not a board game then? Does that change it?
Yeah, for the most part.
So
It's
neoprene
turning
yeah,
into
it's a
game?
mat
plastics.
game.
Mat game, got it.
Yeah, it's. Is that a mat joke?
Yes. Well, I know Richie's been busy streaming all sorts of retro games and nonsense on Twitch lately. You got anything you're looking forward to?
Oh goodness. In terms of well, I mean, I guess in terms of retro games, the coolest thing that just happened was there's a plugin that you can get that's tied into an emulator for crowd control. And so when you have that active for your stream, it allows whoever's watching you play to use bits to activate different things, so you can set your own prices where, if you're playing like Legend of Zelda, for being as classic of a game as it is, just got set up in crowd control. The first one on NES, where like before, there's a bunch of Mega Man games on there. I think there's like Toe Jam and Earl, a couple of Sonic games, some of the Mario games. But like, someone can pay money to just outright kill Link, invert your controller, give you an item, take hearts away, give you hearts. So like you can get a real push-pull going with chat. And the cool thing is like, I mean, obviously it serves better if you have a lot of people watching at once, but a lot of people will set prices a little bit higher. But for me, I set everything lower because I just want people to be able to have fun with it without, you know, breaking the effing bank trying to fuck with me while I play. So,
neat. So this is just
That's
a way to
pretty
like
neat.
set up some sort of like, like minor rift between you and your community on Twitch, where you just slowly begin to resent them from all the things they've done to you and
yeah,
Zelda.
pretty much.
Toxic.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
Super toxic.
right.
Well, it's just nice because it gives people kind of a way to interact with you while you're live in a different way.
Yeah, that's I mean, like I enjoyed those Twitch plays things where like Twitch plays Pokemon and watching just dumb things happen.
Right.
Like it's just silly, to watch that happen and watch a group try to vote on what direction the guy's going to move, stuff like that. It's amusing, and then loses its appeal 5 minutes later. But that's how stuff goes on the internet. Well, I want to thank all of you, Matt and Jason and Richie, for joining me. And this is going to wrap up our second episode, this time with video. Hopefully those of you that joined us live on Twitch were able to actually see our faces and look at all of our dumb smirks and gestures and all of the nonsense that we're doing here. Much appreciated. If you want to come find us on Facebook, we got a Facebook page. Come talk to us, chat with us. We're on Instagram. We'll be on Twitch a little bit. I'm hoping to get a few more things sorted out tech-wise so I can do a little bit of streaming when I'm building and painting some stuff just for fun, so we can come and hang out. But until next time, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you maybe in a few weeks when I'm back from a family trip. Take care, everybody.
Peace.
Bye.